I must announce some devastating news. I am not hip with the kids. I do not know how to make good short-form content fastly and furiously, and all of my meme references are from Vine, an app that died 6 years ago. In an attempt to counter this, I'm trying to maximize my content output while not increasing my workload by a significant amount. That is, I'm going to do a fun and funky couple 2 tree character designs, but do them for trending audios. So after everything is edited, I'll have one long video to put out like I usually do each Friday, and also 2 or 3 shorter videos to put out throughout the upcoming week that YouTube and Instagram will hopefully send out into the world for more people to actually get to see, because long form content just doesn't get pushed like short form does.
Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
I have chosen 3 create an original character or OC audios. The first one I did was a random OC generator video made by user GT on Instagram, and sorry to everyone if I'm pronouncing these usernames incorrectly. The second one is a fairy OC based on yourself by derpenschnof_d, and the last one is a Figgy Sisters OC fantasy character. So let's get into these character designs. As you can see, I have screen recorded proof of me pausing on the traits that I did. I'm not sharing the audio because the sound of it stopping and going is grating, and also I will be sharing the videos as shorts later on my channel and as well as at the end of the video. So for the body, I got many eyeballs, which I'm super happy about. That's right up my alley. For hair, I got a pair of short pigtails. For eyes, I have these ghastly looking snake eyes. And for accessories, I got these nun head covering, which really threw me for a loop, and then followed by a Pocky prop. And then I rolled this outfit, which made me realize that I'm probably just drawing a Rosaria from Genshin Impact with a lot of eyes. And then I rolled that she's grumpy, and then also I rolled this color palette. So biblically accurate Rosaria eating Pocky it is. This kind of character, which I will describe as stern, confident, a little intense to the point where you question her sanity, and also pretty overtly sexy, is not really my typical drawing subject. Not to say that I don't like to create those kinds of characters, just that they're not my forte. That mixed with the fact that I wasn't really trying to create a new OC, but rather just try and keep myself making art even while I was having art block, means in general I don't follow the prompt exactly to a T, and also I leave the characters in a state that I personally wouldn't consider to be fully rendered. I was a lot more focused on getting the character vibe down more than getting a perfect drawing out, because this was just supposed to be a very fun, very loose, kind of light exercise where I wouldn't have to think about the details too hard. And honestly, it was a pretty fun challenge that wasn't too much of a challenge for someone who is currently very exhausted. In a way, I really like the partially rendered look of this art. I've always loved art that has a super loose, more implied shape style, more so than something clean and perfectly rendered, so it was super exciting to see my own art take on a form like that. Also, looping back to me capturing the vibes of the character more so than creating a perfect character that exactly fits all the criteria, I do lose a few of the key traits that were given to me in the video prompt. Instead of making her grumpy, I give her this sort of angry smile, because she doesn't strike me as a character who, when angry, is a sort of mopey, childish rain cloud of a character. I think she more so has the vibes of someone who, when they get angry or upset, they begin laughing and start pulling out sharp things.
Let me see what you have!
No! Another thing I lose is the box of Pocky that is supposed to be her key prop. With the pose I gave her and putting the rosary in her right hand across her stomach, a Pocky box just didn't really fit into her left hand super well. I did try, for the record, but instead I just thought I'd put a Pocky into her mouth, because I don't know, that's what hot anime people do, right? Although it might just be me, but I feel like because of how intense her aura is, the Pocky is coming across more as Cruella de Vil cigarette holder and a little bit less Pocky, but I promise it's just a Pocky. Also, because of the accessories she was given, namely the head covering, I opted to move her hair from being tied on top of her head to the bottom of her head, because unless there are holes in the headscarf, all of my people who tie their hair up know how irritating it is to have hair that has been tied up high while trying to wear a hat or a hood. Unless you're wearing one of those special like ponytail hats or have a visor or something, it just simply isn't done. The last change I made that sort of deviated from the prompt is her eyes. I was supposed to give her what I think are supposed to be snake eyes, and I did not in fact do that. Mostly because I forgot, but also mostly because the references I was using and how I love a good anime spiraled eye look. The references I was using were obviously references of Rosaria from Genshin Impact, but also Makima from Chainsaw Man. I haven't watched any of Chainsaw Man, but I do know that the theme songs are amazing, and I love a lot of the character designs, and I definitely want to watch it eventually, and I will get there someday. Maybe. But in particular, I was very much studying this Makima piece made by artist Akutavai, which you can clearly see how their art translates quite strongly to mine in her pose and also in the lighting. Since, first of all, I'm never planning on selling this piece. Second of all, this was sort of an art study of lighting and pose. And third, poses are really hard, and using references is not a thing that anyone should feel guilty about at all. I definitely do not feel guilty and do not feel at all the need to justify why my piece looks so similar to this other beautiful piece of art. I always feel guilty. And that's our first trending audio generated original character. My favorite part that I actually really enjoyed was translating the lighting from the reference image to the limited color palette that I was working with. It just scratched the art exercise part of my brain real good. I didn't give her a name just because in my mind I had been calling her biblically accurate Rosaria the entire time, but whoever she is, I think she looks super cool. Alrighty, on to the next one. So again, this character is generated from an audio made by derpinschnof_d. The whole idea is basically to take the traits that you, as the artist, have in real life and translate that into equivalent traits of a fairy character that you will draw. The first prompt was, are you an evil fairy or good fairy, which is determined by your birth month. I was born in May, therefore my fairy character is an evil fairy, which I was stoked about. I love a good evil fairy design. The next was relating eye color to what wings the characters have. I have brown eyes, so I get to give my OC butterfly wings. The next is piercing, tattoos, and freckles or moles. I don't have any piercings or tattoos because a girl afraid of needles, so my fairy doesn't get pointy ears or antlers, as much as I wanted to draw antlers. Instead, she gets a crown because I do have freckles and moles. The next question was if you are the oldest, middle, or youngest child. I am a middle child, so I got to give my fairy a sword, which is great, perfect for a villain fairy. The next question is about pets. People with cats or dogs can add a pet, and people with exotic pets can add a potion. I have 2 cats, so I added a little pet for my character. I'm not positive what qualifies as an exotic pet, if fish landed in that category. I could have added a potion for Noodles the beta fish, but I did not do that because I just wasn't sure. Lastly, you give the fairy clothing based on your height. If you're short, you get a mushroom dress. If you're average, you get a flower dress. And if you're tall, you get a butterfly dress. I'm not tall. Mushroom dress it is. So step 1, getting a pose out. Because I landed with a mushroom dress, I was obviously looking at a lot of Fifal's art. If you don't recognize Fifal by name, I feel like a lot of her art is super recognizable. She does the very iconic mushroom girls, funguary, and quite a few science and space inspired character designs. I've been a huge fan of a lot of her work for longer than I even knew it belonged to her. Despite my looking at her stuff, I don't think my work on this fairy really reflects her images, which is kind of the funny thing about references. Sometimes they're like the last OC, where it really looks like the reference a lot, and sometimes it's just inspiration. Also, ooh, behold, canvas flips. I usually try not to do this while recording because I know that sped up zooming in and out can be super overwhelming as is, and adding canvas flipping into the mix just feels like a little bit too much, but I could not figure out how to draw the mushrooms upside down, so forgive me for that. Instead of doing a capped mushroom and making the skirt the mushroom cap as you do, I decided to go for a layered dress that kind of looked like these pink oyster mushrooms, except it's blue because that's the color palette I decided to go with for whatever reason. The entire design is very much from the heart. Besides the prompts I was given, I had no planning, no ideas. I just picked a color and sort of rolled with it. For example, I was originally intending to put hair on this character, but I wasn't sure how I wanted to do that. I was gonna go with white hair, but I was thinking she already was was very similar in color scheme to Io, one of my D&D characters, and I did not want that to happen. But then I saw this really cool picture by Feefall of this character with mushrooms growing out of her eye and face, and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to do that, and then completely ignored the concept of hair entirely. No hair, no eyebrows. I don't think I even give her any eyelashes. For her pet, I wanted to give her a ghosty looking cat friend. It sort of throws off her nefarious evil vibes, but you know what? Every good villain needs a cat to dramatically pet as they slowly turn around in their chair to face the protagonist. Besides, I think even if she is an evil fairy, the little ghost cat gets all the love and affection he deserves and more. I did not give this cat a name, but I did accidentally give the fairy a name. And by accidentally, I mean I was going to name her final file Celeste because I've been idly watching Danganronpa and that was the first thing that came to mind. But when I saved the final JPEG of the character, I accidentally mistyped the save file name as Ilest. And I mean, it suits her very well, and that's her name now. She's the only one of the 3 designs in this video that gets a name, and it was all an accident. For her butterfly wings, I was not using a specific reference to an actual butterfly, so sorry to disappoint if anyone was curious. I was just looking at a few butterfly wing designs and then sketching in some rough shapes and going, yeah, that looks about right, because again, this whole process was not intended to be a serious character design. It's can I get the prompt across effectively and meet most of the criteria of the audios I followed. I did rough up her wings a little, gave them little notches, because I just imagine this character is very reckless. This is early in her sort of rise to corrupted power. I think over time her wings become less and less usable as they are, and perhaps they become a sort of grotesque patchwork of repairs over time, with feathers or other wings and whatnot else. But for now, they suit the requirement of a butterfly wing. I go in and add some more color variation because I felt like the character looked really flat, and I also add a bright neon pink magenta outline to bring her out from the background a little bit more. And because it looks so very flat, I add a dark purple multiply layer and really just push the shadows harder, again because she looks so flat and light. And with a little bit of blurring of that layer, here Ilest and her cat are. This design was probably the fastest of the 3 designs, which is really unusual for a design that I had no preformed concept idea for, but I really like how she turned out. I love the spiky crown and the silver sword and the stance, and that's design number 2 out of 3, so let's move on to the next one. So this is a super old audio that was trending like summer of last year. I had it saved on my Instagram for ages, just meaning to do it. It's a character generator based on your favorite ice cream that was made by Figgy Sisters. My favorite ice cream is tiramisu flavored ice cream, and if a place has it, I almost always get it. And the first prompt was to make the hair color the same color as the ice cream. I've had tiramisu ice cream that looks more cream colored, and I've had it looking more chocolatey. Because of where I went and got my very first tiramisu ice cream, I'm so much more used to the chocolatey look, so I picked a brown color for the character's hair. The second prompt was whether or not I like sprinkles. Sprinkles meant the character gets a scar, no sprinkles meant tattoos. I don't hate sprinkles, but when I go out and get ice cream, I don't ever ask for sprinkles, and I probably would never ask for sprinkles on a tiramisu ice cream specifically, so I went with giving my character tattoos. The next prompt was unnatural eyes for never having made your own ice cream, and natural eyes if you had. I have, only a few times and in very small amounts, but it's definitely a fun thing to try. And the last question was cup or cone, which would equate to witch or knight respectively. Honestly, it depends on the ice cream. I don't tend to get more tropical flavors in cones, like, you know, mango, but tiramisu I like in a cone, so I went with knight. The other reason I was sort of excited to dig up this particular character design challenge was because I had recently watched Prickly Alpaca's video on turning favorite foods into magical girls. It's a super fun video, highly recommend. Although my little half Polish heart was disappointed when she said, "Pierogi, it's a Pittsburgh thing, you wouldn't get it."
Let me in. Let me in.
But I'll let it slide since she did give Poland credit later in the video. I love you, Prickly Alpaca, please don't have beef with me. Nonetheless, the video gave me a ton of inspiration of how to turn my character into a knight-like character without having to draw an entire suit of armor. It resulted in a very She-Ra adjacent outfit. Don't ask me how I got there, it just happened. I gave this character 2 swords because this video is about slowly increasing the number of rapiers I can add to a character, I guess, which only means my next character has to be Zoro from One Piece now. She's got cool tall boots, a sort of layered skirt to match the layers in a tiramisu, and also very nice flowy hair with this cream streak in it. I gotta be honest, she's much more tiramisu inspired than specifically tiramisu ice cream inspired, but I think she looks cool either way. It's fine. I also decided to go with a bunch of gold or maybe waffle cone colored accents on the character, giving her this necklace collar piece, making the fastenings on her breastplate gold, the little She-Ra crown thing, as well as the details on her boots and gauntlets. I know I wasn't technically required to stay within the color limits of the ice cream for the entire character design, but you know, I kind of appreciate the cohesiveness that it brings to the image. Once I got to this point, I didn't really have a whole lot of ideas for specifics, so I was just defining all the little ruffles and details a little bit more so I could pass it off as ever so slightly more than a quick sketch. This character has no name, but I definitely imagine her as a very happy, sort of pure-hearted paladin knight character. Definitely one of the by the power of friendship and honesty people that goes through like this incredibly dark, horrible, traumatic character arc and just has the whole world thrown against them and is confronted with the cruel, unforgiving nature of their environment and the people around them, but continues to be an unchanged beacon of optimism and hope for their surrounding party members, but perhaps learns a lot about people and differences and those sorts of things along the way. I personally am not fond of characters that are just straight up only do good, live by the law, everything has a happy ending type of people, but I do love a character who continues to be soft and kind and brave, and at the same time is strong and able to learn and grow. I just feel like there's a good way and a bad way to do those pure-hearted paladin types of people, and I'm not expressing it super well, so I'll just go back to talking about art. I really truly love the look of these golden rapiers and the intricate cross guards. There's no matching between the two of them, and how she's holding them is super unclear because of how I rendered, or rather didn't render, the gauntlets, but I still love how they look. Again, something about this very quick under-rendered style is incredibly appealing to me, mostly because it means I don't have to sit and render hair for 3 hours among other smaller details, but also I love the looseness of it. It just feels so much more dynamic somehow. Somebody who knows something about art theory, please explain this to me. I went to school for numbers, not art. You'll also notice that I definitely covered up the majority of her skin in this drawing and didn't draw in the tattoos. I do fix that eventually. I put a little white heart under her left eye and then also add some white filigree looking tattoos to her arms and leg. Nothing super huge, unfortunately, because I forgot that I had to add tattoos. But I imagine the tattoos probably have something to do with her paladin background, and maybe she received them as a sign of her oath, or maybe there's something specific to her cultural origin. I don't know, it's not like I completely designed this character or something. And of course, the audio challenges the artist to draw a background, and I said haha bet, and made it all super orangey with vague shapes of clouds and hills, and added some cool gradients and blurs. And there is our last TikTok, Instagram, audio, original character design completed. I really do truly love her. She's super cute. For the very little I had planned for her, I think she came out stunningly. And here's our final lineup: Rosaria, Eleste, and Tiramisu, or whatever have you. I'm happy to hear any backstory or name ideas if you have any. You can put them in the comments. I love hearing audience input, and it's really fun. It makes my day, and it helps me figure out what you guys do and don't like to see. So should I save the reveal for the final videos for later in the week to maintain audience retention and get y'all to come back and watch again later? Yeah, probably. But do I hate it when the reveal is in a different video? Yes, definitely. So here you go.
Let's make a fairy OC based off yourself. If you're born in these months, you're going to be evil, and if you're born in these months, you're going to be good. If your eyes are blue, you're going to give them dragonfly wings. If your eyes are brown or black, you're going to give them butterfly wings. If your eyes are green or gray, you're going to give them bee wings. And if you have hazel eyes or other colors, they're going to be moth wings. If you have any piercings, you're going to give your character pointy ears. If you have any tattoos, give them antlers. And if you have any freckles or moles, you're going to give them a crown or a hat. If you're the youngest child, you're going to give them a wand. If you're a middle child, you're going to have a sword. And if you're the oldest, you're going to have a lantern. If you have a cat or a dog, you can give them a pet of some sort. And if you have an exotic pet, you can give them a potion. And lastly, if you're short, give them a mushroom dress. If you're about average height, give them a flower dress, and if you're quite tall, give them a butterfly dress. Now let's see that lovely fairy.
Make an OC based on your favorite ice cream. Whatever the color your favorite flavor is the hair color. If you like sprinkles, give them a scar. If you don't, give them a tattoo. If you've ever made homemade ice cream, give them a natural eye color. And if you haven't, give them an unnatural eye color. If you like your ice cream in a cone, make them a knight. And if you like it in a cup, make them a witch or wizard. Oh, and I dare you to give them a background.
Yeah, and there they are. I hope you enjoyed them. These will be posted as their own shorts and reels on my channel and on Instagram throughout the upcoming week, and hopefully that's not too annoying. Yeah, if any of you find any more of these OC creation video challenges on Instagram, if you'd like, you can tag me. I would love to try more of these challenges out. They're super fun. As of right now, I do not have a TikTok because I have a hard enough time keeping up with the social medias that I do have, and as previously stated, I am not hip with the kids, but perhaps someday I will be, but who knows? Not me.